afternoon, everyone. I hope everyone is doing well. Hello, hi. I know it's a bit late in the day again. I apologize. I had family over this morning and then I needed to have a bit of a rest because I was sleepy. And now I'm doing a little bit better. I'm still a bit sleepy, but I'm a bit better than I was. Marika, welcome on in. I hope you're doing well. And George, hello, hi. Been a long time, George. I haven't seen you forever. Welcome on in. I hope you're doing good. Also, hi. I'm going to be using my face cam today because I would like to have my face cam alongside the Vtuber, so you can kind of see how what I'm doing is impacting how my Vtuber moves. But it's been a minute. Hello, hi, if you've not seen my face. I think both of you have, but if you haven't, hi. I used to stream with face cam all the time, but I have not for a minute. Sleep, I don't need any. Yeah, actually, that's a fair point, George. Plus, you've been doing these really long streams recently. I hope you're alright. I hope you're okay. I hope you get some good rest over the weekend, maybe. Good to see Jelly today. Hello, hi. I will also though be showing you how things are set up, how basically my VTuber moves and how like it moves comparatively to me. I think normally I wouldn't bother, but just for this in particular, when I'm describing what I'm doing, like if I'm like, so I'm moving my neck to the left, and I do that, it just is a nice visual representation of what I would suggest, because some of the movements that you do to control your VTuber are not the same as what your VTuber ends up doing, and it's just useful stuff. Useful stuff helps me explain visually. Good. Rachel, welcome on in. I hope you're doing well. And Blue Raven, I hope you're doing well. Good afternoon, both of you. I hope you are good. What I will do, I'm going to cut this video up eventually, and so that we have it as like a more concise tutorial, because obviously I'm giving away a lot of VTubers. I'm making a lot of VTubers for people. We're now commissioning VTubers. It'd be kind of useful to have some sort of setup video on my YouTube, just so that as well as the personalized one that I send people, I can also show people like, here is the general stuff, like a little bit more in depth of why I'm doing certain things and why they work for me, why they might not work for you. Because everyone's setup on VTube Studio is different. There probably will be people with VTubers that will come in and be like, that's not how I've done it like this, and that works for them. I'll just be showing you how I set mine up, why I make certain changes. We'll also be talking about like glasses and beards and stuff like that, because those sort of things can affect how your tracking is for your like mouth and your eyes and stuff. We'll go over and get some fix of that. I'd say I have an early night, but we'll see. If you need to dip out, George, do not worry. For those who do not know, I will actually be using George's model for a lot of this. I will also be using my own model as an example, and also I want to use one of VTube Studio's own models. So there are some models that come with VTube Studio. I'll be using those as well, just to properly go through, because then we've got a few to talk about, and like the changes I make on which ones I'm using and stuff like that. So hopefully we'll cover it. And then if people have questions after we've gone through all of that, then yes, we can field them and see if there's anything we can help you answer. You've always been intrigued on how this works. No, honestly, it's one of those things that like, it's a bit of a learning curve. When you get your first VTuber, there's a little bit of a learning curve. And while there are a lot of tutorials online, most of the tutorials have to do more with rigging and less with the setup. So that's why I'm covering more of the setup side of things. Drinking some tea now and vibing for the night. Heck yeah! Well, first and foremost, we're actually, okay, I probably should do some kind of YouTube intro, shouldn't I? If I'm gonna be cutting this up for YouTube. Oh god, I don't really have like a YouTube thing. The last one that I did for VTuber was like, I forgot to introduce myself. So I was like, by the way, this is the video for like setting up your VTuber. Oh, also my name's Jelly. So like, the last time I did this, I don't think it could have been less professional. But you know, if the information is good, it doesn't really matter. That was like a very basic introduction to it. This is going to be a little bit more in depth than that one. So if you've seen that video before, we are going to be going a bit more through like some of the sliders and really setting it up for you personally. I'll be setting up George's model for me personally. When George sets up their own model, they'll do it for them. So yeah, you know, it's a little bit more in depth. How can I start this? I guess it would be like, I don't really have an intro. It'd be like, hello, hi, my name is Jelly. Welcome to setting up your VTuber on VTube Studio. And then, but yeah, I don't know, I could use that maybe, or I can always re-record it. Anyway, I do want to kind of jump in because there's a lot to talk about. Again, if you have any questions, ask away. I might answer some of them near the end just because there's a chance we might cover it anyway with the stuff that I'm going to be doing. First of all, we're gonna start off as if you've literally just loaded VTube Studio for the first time, and we're gonna set up your camera. So I've already set my camera to something stupid. I think I set it to like a game capture, just so that I could reset it up. So yeah, right now my camera is off. I do normally have that it auto starts, but just for now, we'll pretend that didn't happen. I didn't turn it off just for this tutorial. So you want to go across to the tab with the little pink cog on it, the little tab here. Click that and go into the camera tab. So the camera tab in the top left. So it'll automatically put you on here. Skip across to here. You're going to want to choose your camera. So I have a camera set up in front of me and lower. So like down there. That's really useful for me because I do crafting, so I'm looking down a lot. My head is often at this angle. If I have my camera like where it is now for capturing my face and I'm crafting, this is the view that you get. It's not ideal for capturing and it's not going to be super good. So what I'll be doing is setting up it is Logitech Streamcam. That's the one that I have down there. I am going to be putting it at 1920 by 80. That's just the size of the screen. You could go higher, I could go higher, I don't feel like I need to. It does mention some bits at the top, like 15 is good, 30 is better. Put it at 60, why not? I only have the one option with that, so I'll click that, done. Camera setup. Tracking quality. So you can do level 5, I could do level 5, I won't be. So the reason that personally I don't use level 5 is it's not super obvious on camera, to be honest, but my eyes aren't very even. Do I have a zooming in? I do, there you go. So if I look forward, my eyes tend to like tilt this way, and because of that, it always thinks that this eye is more closed than this eye. It's not, I can see just fine. But because that's how the tracking software works, where especially if I do like angry expressions, it will think that this eye is closed because I have more eyelid on this side. I don't know. But because of that, I don't use tracking quality level 5 because it just means my character is constantly winking at you, like non-stop. So we'll go down to 4, which is limited support for winking, but it's very stable. And that tends to be what I recommend as well. Unless you specifically want a wink, in which case you could always ask your rigger if they can rig one for you, and then you can just click a button and do it. Oh dear, there are 2 pop-up prompts when I launched VTube Studio for the first time. One about Wi-Fi and the other about licensing for included models. Yeah, which makes sense. That makes sense. Also, Medusa, good afternoon. I hope you're doing well. Welcome to a tutorial. So now we have also the tracking type, face type only. So I'm doing this on desktop. So that, like with webcams and stuff like that, you can actually track your hands. You can have VTuber models that track your hands. Mine do not. I do not do that right now. And none of the models that I have loaded in will do that, but it is an option. It's something that you can do. I think you can only do that with webcam. I don't think you can do that with phone. But then there are some things with face capture that you can do with phone that you can't do with webcam. So positive, negative, I'll be going through the webcam setup. It will be a little bit different and you'll have a few other parameters if you go with phone. I might talk about those a bit later, but we won't see them. All right. Otherwise, I would say the rest of this for now, you can kind of just leave it. A lot of it has to do with things that it's connected to and stuff, and we haven't even loaded in a model yet. So you got your camera, good. When we load in a model now, you can get it in nice and easy. Okay. Right, double click. To load in your model for the first time, you're going to want to go to the tab with the little red guy up the top. You're going to want to click, oh, it's hidden behind me. Let me just get rid of myself real quick. There you go. You're going to want to click import your own model. And then you'll get this pop up which says create a folder. If you click open folder, what you'll see is, let me just bring myself back actually as well, huh? You'll see this folder pop up. So this is the folder with all of the models that are already in Vtube Studio. For me, I have quite a few models because obviously I make models and I put them in and stuff like that. For you, you'll just have the standard ones unless you have any previous models already in there. What you're gonna wanna do once this pops up is go across to your files. So in my case, I have Jords. Jords is, oh, whoa, what happened there? Funky. There we go, that's better. Sorry about that. We have George's model here, which I'm just wanting to copy straight into the folder with all the models in it, this folder. And literally you take that George's new model and you just click paste. And here is George's new model, now with all of the other ones. Once you've done that, you can literally exit out of them. You no longer need both of those files. So just bonk, bonk, there you go. And okay, done. That should now be loading in. It can take a couple minutes though. So what we'll do is we'll double click, we'll scroll across to J, no George. Okay, that's fine. Get out of there, click the X, unload it, reload it, go back in here, scroll across. There it is, George's new model. Sometimes it can just take a couple times going in and out. Don't worry if it doesn't turn up straight away. You're trying to get some VTubing stuff set up. Oh, Ellie, good luck. I hope that it goes well. So what we're going to do is we're now going to load in George's model for the first time. And we're going to have a little look at the setup for that. There's a few things I do recommend. First of all, when you load up that new model, it's going to show you a pop-up. And the pop-up is going to say, do you want to run auto setup? Yes. Yes, you do. Auto setup. You can copy it from another model if you've already previously done all of this, by the way. This is what I mean when I say you really only have to do all this once, but we're going to act like this is the first time you've ever done it. So rather than copying from another model, we're going to automatically set this one up, and it's going to create the parameters based on what I've rigged for George, which is 13. You might have more, you might have less, depending on how complex the model is. So I click OK. So immediately, oh, George has gotten stuck. Oh, is the camera not turning on? Oh, shoot, my bad. Ah, no! I know why that's happening. Get that there. There you go, I haven't turned it on. There you go, we got it, okay. I was like, oh my god, is it because of stream stuff? It is not because of stream stuff, it's because I've not turned it on. So this is what it will initially look like when it comes in. And like, it's not bad, like it moves around. You are able to hit a lot of the moves and stuff like that. What you've got there when you've turned your camera on is your confidence level. This has to do with where you place your camera. So if I say placed my camera and it only gets like my face from like over here somewhere, I'm gonna drop in confidence. Ideally, the confidence, you can see the percentage here, 90 or above is good. For me, mine is a bit lower because my camera is below me, but that works really well for when I'm crafting because it means I can look down without the model like flipping out and stuff and also without it looking weird or closing its eyes too often. So that works for me. It also is why when I look face onto you, it looks like the face of the side is looking up because my camera is below me. If you're playing games or doing stuff on a PC, I probably recommend, if you can, to mount your webcam on your like monitor or whatever it is. Just that way you get like, you'll be looking up to the camera, but you'll be looking to the side for this and to the other side for the game. That way, you know, down is really just good for crafting, to be honest. having your camera below you is really only good for what I do and what other crafters do. If you're gaming, if you're doing more regular stream stuff, just chatting, get it above. Or if you can, like straight on is perfect, but above works pretty well. So we got this here, I can recalibrate it if I need to. Just bonk, there you go, there you go. Nice, all right. So this is a start. This is the start. It's in, it's moving, but it's not perfect. And like, there are some issues. We have got some stuff here. I will come back to that. For now, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna put all this at 100 and then I'm actually gonna come back and fix that later because this will give us some extra expressions, but there's some other stuff that I wanna sort out first. So for now, I'm just gonna put those all at 100 and come back to it because then I can fix them later so things are a bit more perfect for me. Okay, we're gonna go across now to the man with the cog. Up here. Here's a few things for setup. Now, this model doesn't have an idle animation, but a lot of them do. So if you click idle animation, you'll see if there's any idle animations you need to set up. Some will have multiple, some will just have the one. If there is just one, you can set it up there, nice and easy, pop that in. Icon as well. So this one does have an icon just called profile picture. It just gives a little picture so when you're scrolling and trying to find your VTuber, especially if you have multiple VTubers, it stands out a little bit better. So there we go, we got a little profile picture in there. He's a bit squished, but it works. And then we're going to scroll down. We're going to have a little look at physics first. We're going to have a look at physics before we go across the rest of it. I'm just going to move George across to there. So the physics will automatically come in with the default of 50, wind strength 0, dragging physics 0. So the physics themselves are basically like, for instance, with this, you see how the cardigan sways backwards and forwards, the tie sways a little bit. Because this model in particular doesn't have hair or any like long things trailing off them, they don't have a huge amount of physics, but a lot of the physics are small things like the arms bouncing up and down, the side and all of that kind of stuff. Now, I want to talk a little bit about this. A lot of people will immediately whack their physics up to 100 and it doesn't maybe look as good as you think that it will. Your character's going to look janky as hell. What I would recommend if you do want a bit of extra physics and you're not quite happy where it is put it up just a little bit. Like, don't go up too much higher than 50. Some characters just don't have as much physics as others. Some don't need as much. But having like a little bit just means you get a little bit more without it becoming like janky and hitting a wall. Oh, so Shifty, welcome on in. I hope you're doing well. Welcome to a tutorial. Are you following along, Shifty? Are you following along with your Vtuber? Oh dear. It's time to call out all of my Vtuber children in chat. Are you following along? Are you following? You're looking. I am, of course, fucking with you. Do not worry. So yeah, this is getting the physics up. Again, there are some other things you can do though. You can add some wind strength. That would mean that will always be like a little bit of background swirl, so it can make the physics look like they're going a bit further and a bit more, even though they actually aren't. And there's dragging physics. Dragging physics will make the physics kind of like move into each other more smoothly. So you get it kind of like go. Again, you can add them a little bit and a little bit at a time. I'd say don't jump up too high. I am, because I've done this before a few times. I kind of know what settings I like, but you know, you take it a little bit, especially with the top one. Just go really slow with that one if you're adding more. You shouldn't need to add too much extra. At the end of the day as well, if, for instance, this is a conversation you can have with your rigger, if you've commissioned a model and you're like, I like that the jacket sways, but I wish it was like much heavier, and so it swayed a lot more. That's something you can also rig rather than just doing it at physics level. So, you know. Furiously scribbles notes. Sorry, it's a lot to go over. Ah dear. So many notes. All right, now we're gonna go across the face stuff. This stuff is, I would say, some of the most important, and I think a lot of people don't look into it too much. So face left and right, there's a couple ways of approaching this. So this is your input, this is what you're doing on this side, and this is your output. So this is how the model is reacting to you. So for instance, if I was to turn this way, that's the model turning that way. And if I turn this way, that's the model turning that way. Now I can hit 30 on both sides for the input, so I can hit the positive 30 to the minus 30, but how often do I do that, actually? When I'm crafting, would you say that I'm often like this? Like, the model can do it, but how often do I have my face that far? Truth is, not very often. Not very often at all, especially when my camera is straight onto me. Not often do I decide to stream like this, because like, why would you? But what that would mean is if you don't have that, like, you're not getting the full range of movement, and your VTuber, especially if you're mainly staring at one screen, might not be moving that much. Now, there is a couple of arguments to be made here. One is, if you're using a VTuber model, it is up to you to, you know, express yourself more dramatically, because otherwise your VTuber model will not follow suit. But also, there are things you can do at this point to help. So if you're finding your model is not moving that much or not reaching its full range very often when it comes to like left, right, and stuff like that, have a little look at this. For instance, I might say, okay, I'm looking all the way over here and I'm seeing the window. All right, let me have a look at my other screen, and let me look all the way to the corner of my other screen. All right, so when I'm looking around there, I'd say it's about a maximum of 20. If I put this then to 20, because I can't imagine while streaming looking much further than there, it means I get the full range looking to that side a bit easier. And if I do the other one, this one's going to be even less, bear in mind. The most that I'm going to be looking this way while streaming would probably be, for me personally, to my scissors, which are right there. Now, when I'm looking, that is about minus 17-ish. My scissors are at about minus 17, which means I'm going to put this to minus 17. They don't have to match up. They can be whatever it is, and it's right for your setup. That means now I look this way a lot easier, and I look this way a lot easier. It's a lot more dramatic, and it turns a lot more because it shows the VTuber model moving without me having to move nearly as much. So as you're streaming, when you're doing stuff and you're worried, oh, my VTuber model's really not moving that much, you probably have those numbers much higher than your setup, especially if you only have one screen. If you only had one screen, my maximum would be there to there. Like, I'm not going to turn more than that. And that means the VTuber is going to be like, it's not going to barely move. So what we'll do for today, we'll set it up for my 2-screen setup, but you might only be setting up for one screen. You might only look at one screen when streaming. And if that's the case, there is no reason for you to have it so that you can do this, because you're never going to do it. You're never going to do it. And it will just mean that you are wasting the movement of your VTuber. All right. We'll go to the next one. Oh, so Eden, welcome on in. I hope you're doing well. You did have a private course on this. Welcome, welcome. So next one, face up, down. Now, I know I'm not hitting these. These ones automatically come in a bit lower for you because the program also doesn't think you're going to be hitting a full 30 up and down. But you might be surprised. You'll actually probably be hitting even less than you think. But I'm looking up. again, conceivably, the highest I can imagine looking up would be to about here, which is 15. So I'm going to put my up on 15. Down, I do look down quite a lot. So this one's quite important for me. I will often be looking down to about here. Just only -10. Only -10. So why do I have this at -20? Like, how low do I have to go to get it to -20? Like, it's impossible for me. I can't look down enough for it to be -20. So that's going to -10. Also, when you're doing this as well, just as a side note, double check that the maximum and the minimum are the numbers they should be. Like, if it says 30 here, your max should be 30. If it says -30, your min should be -30. Just make sure that those match. You don't want to muck around too much with your output. It's the input where you can do a lot. But now, look at that. I look up and down so much easier because I don't move my head that much, but I would like my VTuber to move their head that much, but I don't. So now I can move side to side a lot. Now, because we are making these numbers a bit smaller, what I would probably recommend doing is just adding a little bit of extra smoothing. Just because you're now going to be moving a lot more intensely, you can keep the smoothing low if you want to have more intense side-to-side movement and stuff, but personally I like my models to flow a little bit more, so adding just a little bit of smoothing means they don't move really erratically or anything. Also, Spark Does, good morning, I hope you're doing well, and Nato, welcome on in as well. Most people are nearly as expressive as they think they are, exactly. So there is, again, there's a give and a take. You will need to move for having your VTuber moving. If you stand completely still, your VTuber will not move. But there are tools you can do to help it so that your VTuber is even more expressive as well. So it's both sides. Like, you do need to move, but here are some tips to make it a bit easier, you know? The next one is face lean rotation, which would be this. Side to side. Now, again, I can hit my side to side. How often am I doing this? Like, actually, how often do you see me stream like this very often? I don't think so. I expect the maximum that I would do would be to about here, which is -15 maybe? And this side, I actually go a bit further on this side, so I might do -15 to 20, because I do seem to be leaning that way a little bit more. Again, that could just be my camera setup personally. So let's do -15 to 20 for that. There we go. Now, it's much easier for me to get the side-to-side motion, all of the head moving around and stuff like that, moving a lot more. You see how much movement we've added just by doing this? And like, I am not moving a lot more, but the VTuber is. You can, of course, make this really dramatic. For instance, if I was to go... Let me show you a mistake really quickly. Let me just show you this. You can make it really dramatic. If you go too low, it will start to get really, really like ping, 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 ping. So do be a little careful. If you're, again, there is an importance, an emphasis that you do have to move a bit more expressively than usual when you're using a VTuber. This can't solve all of your problems. Oh, I do like the idea of going around like this. What did I have this at, like 17? This was this way. Was it 17 and 20 or something? I might not be that way around, but you know what? It was fine. It's lower. I'm getting more. That's fine. There will be a VOD. There will be a VOD. Yes, do not worry. And I'm also planning on cutting it down so it's a little bit more easy and manageable. It's a lot of information, unfortunately. Now, I'm finding that maybe they're going side to side a little bit too easy still. I like it. I do like it. And also, you have to bear in mind, most people do stream their VTubers like this. So, again, most people aren't using their full body. I do think I'm leaning a little easily. What I might do, though, I don't think... I could put a little bit more smoothing on it. Yeah, I think that's fine. Oh dear, it's only making 2 lower. Yeah! Oh dear, so now look how much I can move and how little I have to move for my VTuber to be moving pretty expressively. Like, I don't have to move that much. I can just, but it looks like I am. It looks like, oh, she must be going like mad behind the camera, but I'm not. I just added more, like, made it easier for me to move around and stuff like that. Oh dear, take care, you dad, look after yourself. Thank you, thank you. Yeah, we'll just be finishing this one. We are far from over though, by the way, guys, sorry. Just let me actually stay zoomed in on the face for a little bit because the next stuff we're going to be doing is on the face. So this is now going to eye open. So here are when we're going to be showing you some of the problems that can happen with Vtube Studio, which is that it doesn't always fill your parameters incorrectly. And here's an example of that. So we have here that it's meant to be a max of 1.2. However, it's put in 1.9. So what we need to do is move that back to 1.2. Now my eyes are going to be a little uneven for a while, don't mind that. We need to get that down to 1.2. And then what I'm gonna want to do, this is the eye open, get my eye like surprised, like this. So from normal to surprised, normal, surprised. So I would say when I'm surprised, I'm at like a 1.1. Excuse me, sorry. So now, when I'm like looking around doing my normal stuff, I can be like, wow, and surprise. And back down, and surprise. And then what we're gonna do is go skip eye smile for a minute. We're going to go to eye open right, and we're actually just gonna do the same thing. Put that as 1.1 and then make sure the max at 1.2, just so that the eyes match. There you go. Whoa, 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 nice. Okay. So now we have it where it's within the parameters it's meant to be. I'm blinking just fine. We will actually come back to that later because there is a couple things to discuss with that, but I am blinking, so my eyes do close, and finding that I can go surprised. In fact, I maybe even could have this a bit lower because I like having it be a surprise. Yeah, probably about there. So I might actually move this down to about a 1 just to make it a little easier then again for me to be surprised. There we go. Just a bit easier. And then eye smile, do big smile. Yeah, big smile. Okay, well I'm hitting the 1 for max pretty easily, so I think my eye smile is fine. I probably don't have to move it. I could make it a bit smoother if I wanted to, but I don't think I need to. In that case, we can move down to IX, IY. So this is one that I always say is hard for people because you kind of have to record yourself doing it. So what we want to do is look all the way to the left, all the way to the right, all the way to the left, all the way to the right. Are the pupils following you? This is why it's difficult, because obviously you're doing your pupil movement. When you look to the left, it's nearly impossible for you to know if your character is doing it as well. So what you'll want to do is go on OBS or Streamlabs OBS or whatever recording software you have and just record yourself looking left and right and up and down as well, and just see how that's working. Because so IX is left and right, Y would be up and down. I'm not going to do those live on stream just because it's difficult for me to do it without recording it, but that way you can see if you're getting the full length of left and right. If you're not, you can move it down. So like maybe you're finding that you're not looking all the way to 1, you could put it at like a 0.8 to 0.8. Once again, there are some, be careful. If you go too low, your eyes will be pinging around and it might be a little uncomfortable to look at, but you can lower them a little bit to make it a little bit better. All right, now we're gonna go down to mouth smile. Once again, this is not going in correctly on the output side, so we need to up that to 1.2 so that you can do the biggest smile possible. And then we're going, big smile, All right, so I think in my case, I probably don't need to up this to 1.2 to match. I think about 1, I can do bigger, but I have to be pulling a very specific smile. So I think 1 is probably good for me for mouth smile. I will then add some smoothing. And what that means is you move from expression to expression a little bit better. Again, you don't want to go too high, otherwise you'll find that your mouth isn't moving very well at all. But this one, it will mean that you don't go straight from angry to like, oh, quite so intensely. Like it won't look like a different picture suddenly. There will be movement from one to the other. Okay, now mouth open. So once again, this has gone in at completely the wrong output number. We need to put that to 1.2. And then open mouth. Good. I can open my mouth. When my mouth is closed, it is closed. One thing to mention, and this is maybe more important for people with beards, mustaches, any kind of more intense facial hair, which might distract from your camera. If you are streaming with that, which is fine, you might find that your mouth isn't fully closing. It doesn't happen with everybody, but it might happen with you even without a beard, depending on what your face setup is like. Who knows? But sometimes people with beards will find that when they close their mouth will be like just slightly open. If that is happening to you, if say you've closed your mouth, but this is like hovering at like a 0.2, just up this to like 0.2. So wherever your mouth is when it's closed, like mine's at 0.01. I could put it to 0.01 if I wanted. But if you close your mouth and it's at like a 0.1 or a 0.2, just move that lower number to match it to 0.1 or 0.2, and it should fix that it's not opening. There we go. I'm gonna put mine back down though. Also, Ellie, thank you so much for the follows. Very heckin' kind of you. And I know it's been a minute. Hi, welcome on in. I hope you're doing well. The other thing that I do recommend is putting some smoothing on the mouth. Otherwise it's like, which is cool and all, but it's like really quick. So putting a little bit of smoothing on the mouth just means it opens and closes a little bit slower, and you can kind of see that jaws now looks more like they're talking. Yeah, it makes a big difference for that. In this particular case for this, we have the auto breathe. We're not going to be going to it. If you have any other parameters, going through them all one by one is important too, but I've kind of set this model up to only have the important parameters that I would want to talk about, like your body angles and stuff like that. However, we are not done. We're gonna now go back to the camera, and remember where we set all of these to 100. We're gonna be doing a little bit different now. So for instance, I like having a smug face on my VTuber models, and I try to always make sure that they can look a little bit smug. So with that, you'll actually want the eye open and blink sensitivity. So for now, when I start to close my eyes, see how my eyes are still open, but like they're barely open on the VTuber model? Do you see that? Like it's a little bit too close. I want to move down my eye open sensitivity. I'll put it to like 60, and that means I can do like a little smug face. But I can still open them fine. Like, you know, my natural eyes will still open just fine. I will probably do the same with blink sensitivity, just whack it down a little bit. And then, yeah. I make a little smug face, but it doesn't affect how my eyes would normally look. And if I was finding that it was affecting how my eyes normally looked, I could go back into my eye open. There it is, eye open right. See where it's hitting it normally, and I could always move this up a little bit. Oh, not auto breathing. So basically by moving this up a bit, it'll actually move the number here up a bit, so your eyes will rest slightly more open than they did before. The only difference is I struggle then to hit the... You see, like I'm not quite hitting as high open as I would like. The other option would be to move this down if that's the case. Maybe to like a 0.9. Yeah, there you go. So I can still hit my surprise. Maybe even a 0.8. There you go. Okay, and I'm gonna do the other one the same. All this just takes a lot of tinkering, honestly, just to find out if you like how it looks and change that. There you go. So now my eyes, naturally, when I'm not doing anything crazy with them, are like this. When I want to be smug. And then when I want to be surprised, I can be surprised as well. And also with the mouth shapes as well. Like I have my oh, you know, all that kind of stuff. Just testing out, making sure that you can hit all of it because it will make talking look a lot more natural. For me, I am not ideal for a VTuber. I talk very, very quickly, which a VTuber will always kind of struggle to keep up with. But yeah, and when we were talking about this with Iodan the other day, someone who does wear glasses, we found that basically going backwards between those two and like toggling how easy it was for eye open and stuff like that, and going back and all that. Other thing, can you like raise your eyebrows? Yes, you can. Hell yeah. Yes, I can, and all of that. And also just like the more like, don't look really odd, because they can do those kind of in-between expressions where your eyes start to close. Those are really difficult, and they take a bit of practice to getting it all down. That, however, should give you a pretty good start on setting up the model. Again, let me just show you how expressive this model can be now, without me having to move that much. Like if I'm like, oh, a game over there, oh, a game over here, oh, I want to read some chat. Okay, wait, well, what if I'm doing some crafts down here? Like I don't have to be super, super expressive for my model to move really, really well. And the physics are not so much that it feels like it's hitting a wall or anything like that. It's following my mouth flaps very well. It can follow my eyes. I'm blinking nice and easily, but I can also do some more like kind of smug expressions. Yeah, that's a good start. It's a good basis. Common jaws. And it's cool as well because you could just see them moving. The nice thing as well is because I have it so that the face lean, one thing you might find if you've left your face lean, so if I go to, not face lean, face left right, if you've got your face left right at like 30 and minus 30, you might find that your camera looks, your character looks really, really angry when they go all the way to the left because it can't capture your mouth anymore. Whereas my character can look all the way to the left and still look happy because it doesn't need to go that far to get all the way. Like this is it going all the way to the left right now. And it's like my face has only moved a little bit. You see what I mean?
having that where it can move so easily just means that your expressions tend to capture a lot better. Because again, if you're facing all the way over there, like, how is your camera going to read whether you're smiling or frowning? It's not. And while it is better on phones than it is on webcam, if you're setting it up for webcam, you best set it up so that you're not looking angry when you look to the side all the time. Oh, stop, no flirting. Oh. Poor George's model, they're not meant to be used like this. All right, let's zoom in again. I do just want to quickly show you how to set up emotes, and also like if you had animations, you could do it like this as well. I'm just going to use the on-screen hotkeys because it's a bit easier for me. We're going to go add. The first one I always do is remove all expressions because you don't want to get stuck. There you go, so I'll have Z in caps lock as that. Oh, thank you for the pet Sparkdos. Unfortunately, it's not going to work because I don't have my model on, but I'll refund you those points in a minute if that's okay. Or actually, I'll probably just do it after stream in case I have to do it for anyone else as well. How do I add another one? And why can't I scroll down? There we go, okay. Let's add the next one. So what we'll do is we're going to do set unset expression. Then we're going to do, we have 3 here. So we're going to do angry, and then we're going to set up a key combination that I can remember. So Z and A for now will do just fine. And now if I click Z and A, look at him go, he's so angry. How could you? Oh my God. Ugh, disgusting. Thing is, I don't actually have to look very angry to look angry because it shifts how the face looks. So you can just look kind of evil as well. But for me, it's the eyebrows. It's in the eyebrows. It might be different for you, but for me, it's in the eyebrows. When my eyebrows go down, I look angry. You can also do that. And that tends to work pretty well if you're trying to get angry really quickly. It's just although when he doesn't have angry on, he's just going to look sad. If you are finding that you are struggling to hit your angry or your sad expressions, you're going to want to go down once again to mouth smile. So here, mouth smile, and just make some angry looks. And I'd actually say I could probably move mine up a little bit. The fear of moving it up is basically that it does get a little easier to do, but I could actually probably move mine up to a 0.1 because I am generally quite smiley and it shouldn't go into a frown too easily. But now if I do even a neutral expression, look how neutral we look. Look how angry we look. Or mine are mainly just disapproving. They don't look too sad or angry without the extra expression. But now with the extra expression, I can just, What do you mean it was just a ledge? What do you mean I only had to go just a small amount? What do you mean I spent 2 hours on one level in Spyro? It's like really easy. And then if we want to add the other expressions, we have, let's see, hotkey expression, set or unset expression. We have music, nice and easy one. Donk and donk. Hey.
What do you mean I can't have cake?
What do you mean I can't have cake? What do you mean all of chat has cake, but I don't get cake? What do you mean I have to sing Waltzing Matilda 100 times? Have that. Oh dear. Classic George. What's classic George? Who knows George? No idea. Couldn't tell you. Haven't met him. Who knows? And then the last one we had for George, was it a woo? I can't remember. Oh, sorry, I'm going all the way down. It's right at the top. I don't need to do that. It was a woo. Hell yeah. A woo is the most useful. Look at that little face. Yeah. Hell yeah. And it should work. They should work as well, like changing the expressions and stuff like that. So you could have like, but also angry. This is also why having the unset all is very, very useful so that you can get rid of all of it at once. Thank you.
Like shifty. But yeah, that should pretty much be a lot of the basic setup that you'll need. There are of course other things you can do, but as far as like how well the model moves now, how little that I have to do to make the model move pretty dramatically, and again, I have actually gone relatively dramatic with this. You don't need to go as far as I have. I just find when I'm really concentrated on something that I don't tend to move as much. So having the model respond to less input to deliver the same output really helps. And I think it would help a lot of streamers. I see a lot of people with their Vtube models that clearly have pretty large expressions and movement, but because the Vtuber is so into the game or so into what they're doing, they're not using it. Right now, look at the dramatic movement just from looking at one screen to the other. This is me looking at chat. This is me looking at Vtube Studio. Chat, Vtube Studio. Chat, Vtube Studio. When in reality, my face is moving barely at all. Like, I'm really not moving that much. Like, a little shake of the head, like, I'm barely moving. And the same with, like, up and down. You don't really find yourself looking up and down that often unless you're doing stuff on your desk, like what we do, where we're doing crafting and stuff like that. You probably won't find yourself looking up and down that much. You might look up at your camera, and then maybe I look down at how long I've been live for. If I was just looking at PC, that's all I would need, and that's like 30 centimeters. So you really don't look up and down that often, and because of that, having it at like the full parameters, even like the smaller parameters, like 20 to -20, you're never going to reach them. There's no reason having them set that high. And side to side as well, since a lot of the time like the leg animations and stuff like that will be on side to side, it's just nice to be able to do it relatively easily without pulling a muscle. Because again, it wants you to do like this normally to get this, whereas I will find now that my character will stay in the same place pretty much up until like here, which is a lot easier for me to do. Like doing this to this, that's a lot easier than like this to this. I don't think you should be expected to do that either. Again, there does come up like a point where you do want to be nodding your head more, you do want to be moving more, you want to be doing this kind of stuff so that your VTube model looks expressive. But you can make your VTuber look a lot more expressive much easier. That's kind of what this tutorial is about, really. It's about getting the maximum range of expressions out of your VTuber. And once you've done that, this is just very quickly how you take it to your like OBS or Streamlabs OBS or whichever you're using. Right now I have the default background on. What you're going to want to do is click the little green window, scroll all the way down to the bottom and do color picker. I will do a color that I don't think is going to be appearing on this, which is a very dark blue. There you go. Now I have it so that this can be transparent. Let me just undo the transparency really quickly so you're not getting that. There you go. This is what my screen looks like right now. I've picked a very dark blue. When you then go across, you add your VTuber as if it's a game capture. So you add your game capture, name it VTuber or something like that. And when you double click it to look at the properties, you can see allow transparency. If you allow transparency, there you go. Now your VTuber is just hovering in space. Nice and easy. It's very easy to capture VTubers, to be honest. Like it's so simple. You do not need any fancy software for that. I am going to quickly put the background back on though, because I do want to go through a couple of other things really quickly. I want to talk about other models and like how I would work with those, because obviously this is a model that I'm relatively familiar with since it is one that I've made. So I'm trying to figure out how to put my Twitch bio in my streaming account. Oh god. Wrong tutorial. I don't remember off the top of my head. I'm so sorry. It's been like 3 years since I did that and I've never changed it. Oh dear. I'm sure YouTube could tell you though, Ellie. Alright, I'm gonna now do this with another model. I will actually, should I quickly show you my model and how I've got mine set up? That might not be a bad call, mightn't it? There's George in there with their icon. Let's go across to my model really quickly. And we'll show you how my one works. So once again, my one I've had a lot of time. I'm actually just gonna get rid of the hair really quickly because otherwise that's gonna get very distracting. I've had a lot of time to configure mine and like how I like mine to move and stuff like that. It's obviously a little bit different to George's because mine doesn't have legs. So mine is just floating in midair. But mine works, again, in a similar kind of way. If I take you across to the parameters and show you, that's the hotkeys. I don't need those. In a way that like, here we go. So yeah, my minimums are less than my maximum. So I have my 20 to 20 on left, right, so that I can very easily look left and right. I have these ones actually a bit higher than George's, but that's because I do tend to look around a lot more because I'm doing crafts, I'm reaching from over there, I'm looking at the mannequin and stuff like that. again, it's not a normal streamer setup, but that's what mine is. I have my up, down, yeah, minus 15 to 15, because once again, I'm never hitting those. Like down is like, Actually, maybe I should change down to like 10 while I'm here, because like there's no way I'm hitting minus 15. Anyway, it's a bit better. It's a bit better. And then face lean. I'm pretty good at face lean. I do it quite often, so yeah, that one's all right. It gives me like a really good range of motion, like moving my head around, and it's not too hard, and it's very expressive. Eyes open, so for me, I always rig my own models, not other people's, but my own models. I rig them on one eye because once again, I find that my eyes are very uneven and they don't capture very well. So if it's a model for me personally, I'll always rig on one eye, and I tend to rig on the right side. There we are. So I have my 1.1 input, which again, like, I don't feel like I'm quite hitting at the moment. It could just be because I'm tired. If I put that to like a 0.9. There you go. That's a bit better. Yeah, I felt like I wasn't hitting it. I feel I must not have been, but yeah, I am a bit tired today, so maybe my eyes aren't as open as they usually would be. That's a bit better. Now I could do my full like my big pog face. Heck yeah. All right. And I don't use eye smile. I use smile along with the eyes, with the mouth. Basically, they smile at the same time. Just one less thing to do. And it's you know, when it's a model for yourself, it's like. And it's easier for me to do it like that. Yeah, so here he is. I have my, for me, my mouth smile is at -4. Because I have like very much, well, you know, the program said it, not me, but I have a very resting bitch face, apparently. So when I rest my face, it's at like 0.1. It should be at like 0.5, by the way, just as like a heads up, but mine's at like 0.1. So because of that, I've dragged down the angry expression to much lower, because it will normally come in at like 0, but that's way too high for me. I will always look angry if I leave that at 0. Plus, it's not like I can't do an angry face. So we do that. I think that's about the only thing that will be very different from the other model for mine. My one's pretty similar. I do have, unfortunately, I didn't remove the body rotation parameters from mine. I don't use them. I use X and Y. I prefer it. I have very similar blink sensitivity, eye open. The rest of it works pretty well. But yeah, I have a nice expressive model without me having to actually move that much. And that's, again, it just makes it a lot easier and a lot more stressful. And you don't have to worry about just sitting there like this, because even if you do like a small movement, it will pick it up. If anything, it actually almost makes it more realistic because it picks up those smaller movements better. All right, let's now, just for funsies, go across to, I guess, Akari, one of the ones that's already in here. Here we go. So this is one of the Vtube Studio models that automatically come with it. So there's a few things, first of all. The mouth is maybe not the most expressive, and it's very much like a pop cat, like not a problem, but it's quite distracting, I think, when the mouth is flopping quite that much. As far as the movement goes, it's actually not bad. The whole model goes quite far, to be honest. But that's you know, that's how it's been rigged, so that's fine. Let's take it across to here. I'm gonna leave these ones alone for now. So they do translate from model to model. These ones will all be different, however. This one probably has some idle animations. There they are. And if tracking is lost, I can put some of those in. I'm not gonna add them because it's gonna make it hard to work with if it's doing animations. Let's have a little look at your physics, first of all. I mean, I'm seeing it on the hair. I add a little bit. Oh, the hair really goes. I don't know if I like it more or not. Like, I want to see if I get it up from up here. Oh. It's a bit better. The left to right is really intense. Jesus Christ. I don't really use the built-in models, to be honest, so like I wouldn't know. So they've got, again, their Mac. I don't know if I want to change it. Can I turn side to side relatively easily? To be fair, I can't though. Let's put that down to 20 and -20 just for now. Yeah, I can look side to side a bit easy. It's the lean that's really dramatic. Oh, you know what? Okay, wait 2 seconds. I'm curious. So they've got the lean as much higher than it should be, so it will never hit its maximum because the lean input is so high. If I even put the lean input, I think her head's gonna fall off. If I had to guess, I don't think you're meant to be able to go this far. Oh, it doesn't, okay. It doesn't fully fall off or anything, but I don't know why they've like done it so. There's a reason, obviously they've done things a bit differently to how I do them. You can hide behind there, but I will pull you back out again. There's obviously a reason they've got it like that. I think probably I will put it back because I don't think I want her, or actually I might, maybe I'll limit the output. Yeah. So where do I like? I like to about, maybe like 50, okay, I'll limit this side. The output will be lower. I would normally not go to the output, but I want my input to be relatively easy. Yeah, okay, there we are. That's a bit more normal. So I can still move her relatively easily. Body Z, she unfortunately does use the body Z and X rotations. I personally don't like using them, so I will leave those because they're not something that I want to tinker with. I don't like them. Mouth X, oh! You have mouth X, oh, okay. So mouth X would be like, but that should normally only be capturable on phone. So I assume if you wanted to experiment with that, you'd need to open it on phone. It's a really easy thing to add, but it's unfortunate that you can't do it on webcam yet. They might add it, but you never know. Mouth open needs some smoothing, some serious smoothing, so that she's not like pop cap opening. That's a bit better. Also, the max is meant to be 1, so let's just put that to there. Oh, I know, okay. I know what this is. 2 secs. Does she have... She does, doesn't she? Yeah, okay. Heart eyes, put like a Z on that as well. Sorry, otherwise I'm just noticing it's going to be setting expressions because she already has her expression set. Anyone that doesn't have a Z, just add a Z to it. So it's a little bit harder to trigger. There we go, that's fine. All right, if I then go back to mouth open, it's meant to be 1. Okay, that's better. Right, so it's a bit more normal the way she's talking now. She's not talking like Popcat anymore. Mouth smile. Yeah. Okay, I can do it. I do want a bit more smoothing again just so I can get some more of the in-between. If you go too high on mouth smoothing, they won't open their mouth. So do be a little bit careful. Where are your eyes? Have I skipped past her eyes? Oh, there we go. Eye open. Okay. Once again, the max is 1. Put that at 1. Her eyes. Oh. Oh. Okay, where's the other one? We'll get them both at the same. Oh my god, okay, her eyes do not want to open now. We're going to have to move this, I guess, down to a 0.9. So that she can do that. But it does leave her eyes being a little more closed than usual, but then she does look a little less manic than she did before. I don't know if I dislike that. Oh, there we go. I might go even lower actually. 0.8 maybe. Excuse me. There we go. Just to get them a little bit more open and make it easier for me to do surprise at the moment. There we are. Or do not auto breathe her eyes. Oh, that'd be gross. Jesus Christ. Ronnie, welcome on in. I hope you're doing well. I'm just showing people how to use the parameters of VTubers to make them like work better for them so they could be more mobile and move easy without having to worry about, you know, staying relatively still while streaming. We are making this one's very dramatic. The left right is really dramatic, but this is also one of the models that is free with VTube Studio, so keep that in mind. They are free. That smile is fine. The max is okay. I can't do X and Y. Brow height, yeah, it's fine. Brow form, yeah, that works fine. Okay, okay. She does look a little less manic. She does still move side to... I'm gonna have to fix that. She moves side to side way too much. It's like, obviously it's to your preference. You might like her moving side to side that much. Personally, I find it to be a little bit distracting. So I am just going to limit her range. Rather than limiting the input, I will limit the range. There we go. That's a bit better. It's a little bit better. And we got some smoothing on there as well. There we go. Oh god, the physics. The hair physics. Is it lean physics? What's causing that? What's causing the physics to go so intense? I'm not sure. Something is. But yeah, anyway, this is kind of how it goes when it's like setting up the model so that it works with your face, so that it moves like dramatically without having to worry about moving your face dramatically, so you're not pulling a muscle. This is a very short stream, but it's one that I wanted to do. I'm gonna go back to George just because obviously that's the one that we spent the most time on today. But hopefully this kind of gives the people an idea of how they can custom their models so that they basically move a little bit better, because like here we are, like look at this. I can move so easily, turn left and right so easily, look up and down without having to do very much. Again, you have to bear in mind that most people will stream like from the bust up anyway, so like having just like a little bit of extra movement there for when you're like, you know, looking from screen to screen, checking the cameras, checking over there, you know, doing all that kind of stuff, makes a really, really big difference. Not having your mouth like a pop cat. I mean, listen, if you want your mouth like a pop cat, you go for it, but it's nice to have the option to not have to have it. And yeah, hopefully that helps. Obviously the models that I work on are relatively simple, so they do have less parameters, but I do think we went over most of the most important parameters so that, you know, you have a good idea. The ones that maybe we didn't go over would be body rotation, like X and stuff like that. I prefer to just do angle X, angle Y, and have that all together because again, the models are relatively simple. But yeah, hopefully that goes over it nice and easy and nice and simple, and you have a better idea. Now, it is a very short stream. Apologize, I'm very tired. But also, I did just want to get this out. If there is any questions about this setup, anything anyone would like to know about Vtube Studio, about how we're setting up the models and stuff like that, please do ask. This is your time. If you have questions, now is the time. Look at the little flop. Look at the little flop he does. Yeah. He looks up and down. Very cool. In the meantime, while people are deciding if there's any questions they have to ask, I will be double checking if there's anyone we can raid into. Is B still live? B's still live. Perfect. I was literally watching B before we went live, so I can raid into a B again. All right. Gonna assume we've got no questions. I mean, that's not a bad thing. It means that I explained everything pretty well. Heck yeah, B is still live. In that case, we're gonna send you all over to B. So B does actually have a model from me. Very, very sweet B. They're not using it today, so you won't see it today, but they do have one. You might have seen it in previous streams. And let me get the raid calls and chat. Thank you everybody who did pop by. I know it's a very short stream. It's just because it was really like a quick tutorial and going through some of the parameters. It doesn't take that long. Oh dear. What's the danger? Thank you so much for the follow. Do they allow your own character designs? So this is mine. I made this. That's actually going to be for George. But this model, yeah, this is George's. This will be on George's stream. Yeah. So I drew him and I rigged him. So yes. What I would say is you just want to make sure that if you're having like a lot of issues, if you're finding like lots of things aren't working, chat with your artist and rigger, or artist or rigger, whichever is going wrong, because it could just be that they decide to make things a bit simpler for you, or they added something and you just not knowing about it. So if you are having a lot of problems, reach out to the person who rigged your model, or potentially the artist as well, and chat with them. They might have a really quick and easy solution. This is more just to get the most out of a model that you're already setting up. So this is not, I'm having problems with my model. This is, I'm not moving very much during stream. How can I fix that? So it's a little different. Also, I won't be streaming tomorrow because we're having stuff done on our roof and I will be way, way too loud, but we'll be back on Sunday, I think with a mixture of gaming and crafting. So yes, I'm sorry for the short stream. Take care, everyone. I'll see you soon. There we go. They've raided into B.